The following podcast is sponsored by Luminary Leaders, Sadat and Associates, and Connected Women of Influence. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the podcast. My name is Shelly Harrison, and you're listening to Speaker Central. On this episode, we talk about soul strategy with my special guest, Candace Mae. Welcome to this episode of Speaker Central, powered by Luminary Leaders. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison. Each week, I open the conversation with my guests to unravel their perspective, solutions, and get into their mindset of business. We break down their expertise to give our audience actionable steps and content to apply in their own businesses. Catch our episodes and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Our intriguing topic today, I'm excited about this because you're going to hear some wonderful things from my guest today. Our topic is soul strategy. Soul, S-O-U-L. So with that, I'd like to welcome my guest, Candace Gruber, who I've known, I think, probably for about maybe 2 or 3 years now. But I'm going to read a little bit about her so you know a little more when we get into our conversation. So Candace Gruber is CEO and leadership consultant with Candace Mae Training and Services. She is a certified DISC behavioral consultant. She also does performance coaching and operational analysis for changing times, especially like now. Yeah. I also want to add, Candace Gruber is a woman of determination and dedication. Her life has taken many steps out of her comfort zone to become the dynamic woman, trainer, and leader she is today. Candace has her new book expected to come out this year launching. So we're excited to hear a little bit about that too. All right. So Candace, welcome to Speaker Central. How are you?
I'm excited to be here, Shelly. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Yes, definitely. And what I like to do is I would love for you to just share with us about yourself and who is Candace Mae?
Great. Candace Mae, that's me. I am the youngest of 5. I grew up in Michigan, moved to California at 19 to become my best self. I felt at a very early age that I was to be a guide and a leader of others. I've pursued a higher education with my bachelor's, master's, and ongoing coaching and certifications to do just that, to lead people. I've spent 22 years in information technology and project management, system implementations. All of that brings people skills in getting people to embrace the project and the ownership without having to use positional power over them, but to really in them with your heart and who you are on the inside to carry them through the projects.
Yeah. And, moving here to California when you were 19, what was that like? Did you come by yourself or did you come with your family?
Yeah, that was a big move. I was, I guess that makes me bold and courageous. I was 19. I knew no one in California. I packed up my Chevy Chevrolet and with all my clothes, and I had to bring my stereo because I absolutely love music.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And I drove 2,600 miles across the United States and stopped at the Grand Canyon, stopped in Las Vegas. I was 19, but I still had to see all the sights on the way.
Oh, well, it makes sense, right? You don't want to wait, you want to make sure that you stop and look at those monuments, right?
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah. How exciting though. And to come to California and, now you're here in California at 19, what did you do first when you got here?
So I knew no one here, but my mom had a cousin who was her age, who lived in Saugus up by Magic Mountain. Mountain. So she asked me to land with her so that she would know that I was safe with someone. And so that's where I came in and landed there in Saugus and stayed with her a couple of weeks while I connected with employment agencies and looked around different areas. And I ended up landing a job in Anaheim. It was 1,000 West La Palma is where I worked, and I lived at 1,000 East La Palma. I thought that was really coincidental.
That is, yeah. It's very coincidental. No, that's, yeah. And I'm sure that, since that time you have really developed your skill and, had different jobs along the way that have led you to where you are now. With the company that you have now, I want to ask you this question. I typically ask all of my guests, and I just want you to fill in the blank. And we didn't talk about this prior, but I'm gonna, just see what you have to say about this. So
Okay.
I'm blown away at how my company, and then fill in the blank.
Oh, okay. I'm blown away how Candace Mae Training and Services has consistent clients say, wow, Candace, you have transformed my life. You have touched every area of my life.
Wow.
And
I love that. Yeah. And let's talk about that. How do you do that with your clients in terms of, touching every part of their life? And, that's wonderful that they're wowed by working with you, and share with us, what is it that you do that makes them feel that way?
Absolutely. I love to. After all that, I mean, this is what makes me me, right?
Yeah.
A lot of coaches and consultants will focus on business strategy, and that's critical. We need to focus on business strategy, but that is the limits of what they do. They come in and they talk about the finances, they talk about the operations, they talk about systems and implementations, and I have all of that. I do all that background. But the passion that I have is about your transformation, about you growing from the inside out. Because for me, leadership is who you are on the inside. You're leading people from who you are. You're not bossing people around. You're not coercing them. It's not a bully kind of situation. It's not positional power. You have to do this because I said so. It's about who you are and what you believe in and the values that define your character. And when we get into growth, we get into all of the areas of what are your fears? What is holding you back? How do you dissolve the fear? How do you build that essence of who you are so it shines through instead of projecting out what you want others to see? Because when you project out, you're putting up a shield. People aren't really seeing who you are. They're not seeing what you think you're projecting. They're seeing this wall of fake in front of you. So when you can really get into your heart space and really share that, the soul of who you are. It's the soul strategy. I think the strategy of connecting with your soul and the essence of who you are and having, maybe I should back up. Part of what I really believe is we're spiritual beings first and foremost. When I grew up, I used to think we're physical and I have a physical body, and when I die, I may go to heaven. But I've come to realize that first and foremost, we're that spiritual being first, and we live in this body, and we have physical intelligence, we have emotional intelligence, we have intellectual intelligence, and we have spiritual intelligence. And I like to take this holistic approach where we're touching on all of those. And for that purpose, I say soul strategy has to come first before business strategy.
Yeah, and I think it's from really the inside out, when you think about it, where, especially as women, and I think I look back at when I first started in the corporate world, and that was back, I was 26 years old at that time, and I became one of the first female managers that there were very few of us. And it was very dominated by men, where men were always, the managers of banking offices. And I quickly learned as a really young woman at that time that I have to be bold. I have to be the one that, kind of gets in there and, with, kind of that coat of armor where I need to show that I'm confident and I'm comfortable with who I am to be able to lead a team or to really interact with other people or manage people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of women don't have that inner confidence. They're not possessing that confidence to really let themselves shine in who they are and in their femininity. I know when I was in my 20s and 30s, maybe even in my early 40s, I used to say, do I have to put a sock in my pants to have any authority around here, because it was a male dominated environment. But when you learn to bring out who you are on the inside and you hold that confidence,
right.
People stop and listen.
Yeah. And don't you think that being your authentic self, what I look at is, when I'm dealing with anybody, if it's a male, female, or, a CEO of a company, really just building the relationship from the point of who we are and what we believe in and being our authentic self. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's all about being authentic. It's all about being the essence of who you are shines through in every area of your life. And so, too many times there's a lot of pretense that's put up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're holding out of a position. This is what you have to listen to me because of the position that I hold. You have to,
Right.
And doesn't have to be about positional power. It has to be about the strength that you offer from the inside, that the values that you hold, that people will buy into you. They buy into you first and foremost, right? And
That's
who you
right.
are, and that you have the strong character, you have those elements that come through. When you feel strong in yourself, you have that essence to be seen and to be heard, and not shy away. There's a magnetism that comes out of you, that it draws people to you, and then your clients are drawn to you, your colleagues are drawn to you, and there's truth in what you say. They listen.
Well, and trust too. I think that it's important that people understand that there's a level of trust that needs to take place where, you can do business with people, with men or women, where the trust is critical, because I think especially right now, sometimes it's hard to tell, when you're working with people, what their, not necessarily their motive, but really what their intention is, where you want to make sure that you're on the same page. And especially with, the art of feminine presence, I really want to get into that, because I think that's the work that you're doing. And I want to talk about that. What does that mean for you?
Oh, the Art of Feminine Presence is 44 practices that was designed by Rachel Jane Groover. It's her life work. I'm a certified instructor with her. I've been working with her and a business mastery as well as the Art of Feminine Presence Mastery program for the last probably 9 months, and it is transformational work. You can be very good at you can be really good at what you're doing, but this takes you to a whole nother level of facing your fears, embracing them, kind of learning to dissolve them, working so that you don't have to be hindered. Too many people have these minds that are racing in negative self-talk, and it teaches you to pull apart who you are, your mind and your spirit, and you're not your mind, right?
Right.
And we know from Joe Dispenza and all the trainings that he talks about. I love that work of your mind and how your mind works, and all the false beliefs. This is beyond just Rachel Jane's work, but all the false beliefs that we hold in our subconscious, and how that defines our behavior, and the generational issues that we naturally fall into.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my work, my personal work, is about breaking free of the generational issues that have gone on, and and that goes for companies, the systemic cultural issues that go on. I've had a big voice, whether it be any of the employers that I've worked with, of bringing in that change, being a change agent to change the culture, to grow the individuals, to help them to have the confidence to step out and find new ways to make processes smoother and easier. So that Art of Feminine Presence work goes deep into the transformational piece. That's different than just coming in and doing a collaboration training or a diversification training. It takes you into more of your personal work of how do you interact with others. I do the DISC behavioral certification and this great work, and we define personalities and what your core personality communication style is and how to connect with others. But then the Art of Feminine Presence work takes it even further deeper into what we call your shadow work and all of the things that bubble up that you can embrace, that really allow you to break free in how you see other people and how you interact with other people.
Wow. And I know, especially with a lot of the women out there that are, working in CEO level positions and leading teams, and, teams of men and women.
Yes.
what I'm hearing, and this is just kind of the what's out there right now. And even though, we're in COVID-19 times, walking together, meaning men and women, it brings so much more together when we're, kind of in alignment and
Yes,
walking together for success, towards success.
absolutely.
And I think the more men are starting to really understand women a little bit better, because they're seeing this emergence of, women who are, very strong and, wanting to still, be, caring and loving, if you will.
Yes,
But in the same token, we're really showing that we have the tools and the resources, to be, leaders of organizations. And, we can multitask, but obviously I know there's, a stigma around multitasking too, that sometimes that's not always good. Right.
right.
But I know that, a lot of the people, the women that I'm, collaborating with, and even the men that I'm collaborating with, we're on the same level. We work together, we're cohesive. And it's a beautiful thing when that can happen, when men and women can come together and, just be on the same page and understand that we're just, as valuable as the other.
Absolutely. So there's a spectrum. Everything runs on a spectrum, right? So you've got one end to the other. So there's masculinity and there's femininity, right? And so for offices and businesses that are so heavy in the masculine, they're missing the feminine side. So there's qualities that complement each. And it's really powerful when you have the balance. And the art of feminine presence teaches the woman to flow in between the masculinity qualities and the feminine qualities smoothly. Yeah. So she's not intimidated by those pieces. Men can do the work as well. It's not just for women. It just happens to be that it's titled Art of Feminine Presence. And for me, in the years of my management and director positions in the business world, there was a lot of men in positions who would say women are catty and they like to fight with each other and they're moody,
drama.
right? They're
Drama,
moody,
right?
And they have the drama, right?
Yeah.
And so the art of feminine presence really teaches you to look at life and be in the moment, not in the past, not in the future, because that's where your fears come from, right? It's not the seeking mind, it's not the grasping mind and wanting to hold on to everything. It's about being in the present moment and learning how to do that and how to train your body to feel safe, even in environments where you could be very nervous. So if you could just train your body to quiet and to feel safe, it's extremely powerful. And
I would imagine
it brings a whole nother level of interaction into business, into relationships.
Yes. And I would imagine that it really creates more, communication among team members where, if they didn't have that understanding towards one another, it could make for a very awkward working environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's numerous tools that I offer in that regard, whether it be the DISC, whether it be the other collaboration tools, the belief work that I do, transformational work, and then you throw the art of feminine presence tools on top. Mm-hmm. I've just got this giant chest to help somebody really stretch and really embrace who they are. And so these tools come in, and this is when the clients say, wow, this has really brought a lot of attention to me in how I interact with my children or how I interact with my partner. And, not to mention the colleagues and my clients, but this has really impacted my life. It's not unusual for me to be getting a text in the evening from one of my clients saying, wow, Candace, you can't believe I practiced this exercise that you were sharing with me. And the evening was just magnificent.
Yeah. And isn't that a great feeling though, when you have that kind of feedback, knowing that you've been transformation or you've helped someone with their transformation?
Yeah, just the guide, because they have to do the work. I can present the tools, I can present the techniques, I can really help them to dive in, but they've got to then embrace it and empower it. And they always do, because they see the results. They see, it's like the missing piece, like, oh, wow, like I knew I needed the business strategy, and we get into that. We work with how to embrace the clients and how to do all these other things with the business and the operational side. Mm-hmm. But when they say, wow, this is so much more, it's taken me to the next level. And so that's where I I think I'm unique, taking that holistic approach to really bring those tools in.
Yeah. And I could just imagine how your clients feel, especially if you're getting texts, in the evening. I know myself when I get those kind of texts from our clients, it's like, we love the work that we do and we're passionate about it because we know that we're changing lives. We're helping people to, whether it's get to the next level or really be comfortable, like you said, safe and, feeling of, where they're feeling accomplished.
Yeah. It's a powerful process. Yeah.
It is. And I would imagine that you have a lot of gratification from that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that we talked a little bit about the book that's going to be launching this year. And we're not going to get a peek at the title yet, but can you give us an idea of what the book is going to contain?
My book, I'm so excited about the book. Thank you for asking about it, Shelley. It's my first official book, and it's in editing at the moment. It was a conscious streaming where I asked Spirit to work through me as we wrote the book. So when I actually sat down to write the book, I really wasn't quite sure what was going to come out. And what came out was astounding. I was periodically stopping and saying, really, Lord, what is this about? You want me to share this? And how does this serve the masses? Yeah. And I got an answer. So I kept writing. So the book is full of what I like to call my life work and lessons and things that can really help people to understand the way the mind works and growth processes. And then it's backed up with my personal stories of my life from early childhood to now, and full of how I went through experiences and lessons that I learned along the way. And I have found as I've begun to be more transparent and share some of these stories with clients and colleagues and various people, they're touched very deeply by some of the stories, and it stirs up their stories. It stirs up things within them.
I would imagine.
Yeah. So then there's a real new depth of healing that comes for the people hearing the stories and the growth that came through it. And
wow. How exciting. Really yeah. And just to know that, because I would imagine that, when you're writing a book, it's number one, it brings up a lot of memories and, some good, some, challenging, things that maybe you experienced earlier in life. And I think once that finished product is done, it's such a gratifying feeling because I know that a lot of the clients that we've worked with, they have their books. Some of them are, like you pointed out, they're, about their life story and, but it's really exciting to know that, your book is going to be launching, and we'll be sure to, once that book launches, we'll have to schedule a second interview to talk about the book.
I love that. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Well, about those stories, it's those tragedies in life, those things that are the hardest that happen to you that are defining moments. And it's in those defining moments, you either choose life or you choose death. You either choose to grow or you choose the resentment and the pain. And it's a fork in the road for you. So how do you embrace those painful moments and grow through them? Yeah.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to your book launch, and I know it's in editing right now. And, once you have the title, I'm sure you'll be posting it out on social media. So we'll watch for that. And we're out of time right now, Candace Mae, but I would love for you to just leave one last little snippet with our audience to just help them in their journey. What would you say?
Wow. What would I say? That's a good question. There's so many people, we don't know who's listening. I don't know who the audience is. So I would say embrace your past. Dig for the gold. In those difficult times, dig for gold. Find what things worked for you. We all have a learning pattern of what is successful for us and what doesn't work. And when you go back through your past and you find those difficult times and you came through and what worked, write those down. Find the gold, because when you can find the gold and reframe those hurtful times in your life, that's where the biggest growth comes. And that's where you can pivot your life, reframe it, and design the life of your dream. And if you need help with that, let me know.
No, and that's great. And even though you don't know our audience, I think that can help many, just what you've shared and, writing down the goals. And it's important to, just really embrace that and own it. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Shelley.
Oh, thank you, Candace Mae. And, I appreciate you being on Speaker Central. And to our audience, we're so thankful that you joined us. Stay tuned for all of our episodes, and this one will be launching soon, so you'll be able to catch the episode. And you can catch us on Spotify, Google. All of the platforms. So whichever app your favorite app, you can certainly download our episodes. And thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hey there. Did you enjoy the episode? If you did, subscribe to Speaker Central